What is good, YouTube? Kyle interrupting myself here at the very beginning of the video with my buddy Patches right here behind me. Just to let you know, this is only the first part of this week's podcast. If you want to listen to the full audio version, a link will be down in the description below. In this first part, it's me and my buddy Rick sitting down reviewing the Elimination Chamber from this past weekend. If you want to listen to the next part, which is going to be released here very soon, where we predict some things going into WrestleMania 39, make sure you click that subscribe button, turn on your notifications to be notified anytime that video goes up. Without further ado, let's get into the podcast. What is good, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Wrestling with Fans podcast. This is a pro wrestling podcast created by fans for fans from a fan's perspective. My name is Kyle. This is episode 226. It is our Elimination Chamber review. And once again, I am welcomed by the one, the only, Rick from Gimmick Nerdia. What is good, Rick?
Hey, how's it going, Kyle?
Oh, it is doing good, man. We are barely 12 hours after the Elimination Chamber.
Yep.
And we're going to talk about that. We're going to do a little fantasy booking here later on. It's going to be almost a 2-for-1 podcast this week. So I hope you guys are ready to have some fun here tonight. But before we start, Rick, let everybody know where they can find you out on social media and the stuff that you're working on YouTube and Twitch and stuff like that.
Yeah, sure. This is we still, as of the last update, we're still working on relaunching Game McNerdia. So you can find us on Game McNerdia on YouTube, Game McNerdia on Twitch, follow us on Facebook, GameMcNerdia.com as well.
All the links and everything will be in the audio description below. It will also be in the YouTube version of the video in the description down below. So make sure you go show those guys some love. Do you want to start at the beginning, or do we just get the big elephant out of the room with the main event?
I say we start from the beginning. I like the beginning.
All right,
I think the show deserves it. It was a good show. So
it was. There's a lot of positive feedback that I have seen for the Elimination Chamber this year. So I'm really excited to talk about this with you because there's a lot of cool stuff to talk about. Now, the Elimination Chamber took place from the Bell Center in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, just last night, February the 18th. We're recording this on Sunday afternoon. We open with the Women's Elimination Chamber match. Now, for this match, the winner of this match will go on to face Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair at WrestleMania. We had Carmella, Liv Morgan, Natalya, Nikki Cross, Asuka, and Raquel Rodriguez. The match goes 19 minutes and 30 seconds. Rick, where do you want to start off with the ladies here?
So I think surprisingly enough, the pace was really good with Nat and Liv. I thought they did very well in the start, so I kind of got really excited for it. I was kind of surprised when Raquel kind of... I know they spent a lot of time preparing, so I don't mean anything like that, but it almost felt unprepared. You know what I mean? Like it felt maybe a little bit like they were trying to change things and try to do it a different way. And I don't know, it felt kind of unprofessional with a lot of what she was doing. Like it just felt like they hadn't been choreographing very well for the week. Like they hadn't practiced it. She just came in a little bit sloppy to me.
Yeah, it did have a weird little start there at the beginning, a little slow. But things, kind of picked up. We get Raquel Rodriguez coming in at 3. And, man, Raquel, she is a tall drink of water.
Mm-hmm.
And she is listed at 6 foot for those interested. So Raquel Rodriguez, I'm going to call her Raquel Gonzalez. I'm so used to calling her Raquel Gonzalez from NXT run. Raquel Rodriguez, she's a tall drink of water.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite on par with Bianca as far as power goes, but she's definitely up there.
Yeah.
Let's see. Then we go number 4 into the match was Nikki Cross coming in Hellfire. She didn't even take her jacket off to start with.
Mm-hmm.
Which I always think it's interesting. And we were kind of talking throughout the show that she had did the good girl, then she went into the Nikki ASH, which I get it, it's for the kids, but I don't know anybody over the age of 8 that was into the Nikki ASH thing. But now that she's kind of more back to the sanity version, the old Nikki Cross, I really enjoyed her character change back to the one we all remember from like NXT and her initial run on the main roster.
Yeah.
Then in at number 5 we get Carmella, and then of course the last entrant was Asuka. Now let's see. Okay, I gotta get that was the order. I had to switch over to the order of elimination, so I know I'm talking in the right order here because it's not listed right. But first out, we get Nikki Cross eliminated by Raquel Rodriguez. Pinfall that happens at 11:40. Liv Morgan out next at 16:40. Which this was like one of the first big highlights of the match. You had Natalya with Liv in the sharpshooter, and then Asuka locks on the Asuka lock, both at the same time, which to me, this is one of the coolest moves that they completely did in the match itself.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I think it looked great. I had a bad taste in my mouth with what they just did with Nikki Cross, right? I just like you just kind of graced over it because she almost didn't matter in the match, right? And she had this big return not too long ago. It was going to be a big deal. Everybody's ready to see what Nikki Cross is going to do, what they're going to do with the new character. And I mean, this is it. First out in Elimination Chamber match. It kind of gets grazed over. She's gone, and then you just go, okay, well, at least she had a fiery moment at one point.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then it gets recovered for me with the Liv with the tap out, the double tap out. That was very cool.
Yeah, that was one of the
almost
cooler.
A tap out. It was more of a kind of, I don't know. It's hard to explain with that look on her face, but.
And then out third, less than a minute later, Natalya pinned by Carmella. Less than actually exactly a minute after that, we get another cool little moment. Asuka and Carmella are double teaming on Raquel Rodriguez. They hit a series of kicks and super kicks, and then they both get the pinfall to take out Raquel, which leaves us down to Carmella and Asuka. And the match only goes a minute longer than that, with Asuka tapping out Carmella to the Asuka lock at 19 and a half minutes.
Yeah.
The match started slow, and then it kind of picked up a little bit. Then it was just like boom, boom, boom in quick succession. We had, the match was over. So 4 of the 5 eliminations took place in less than 3 minutes.
Right.
That was a little, to me, I enjoyed the match. I thought it was a pretty good opener. Not the best, but it was like it had a lot of stuff going on, and then basically 1 minute after another, everybody's gone.
Yeah.
What'd you think of the finish though? The quick succession eliminations.
So, I thought with the pacing of the way that it had started with Liv and Nat, it felt like they were going to set up a match that was going to go maybe significantly longer than what it did. But I had too high of hopes. I think they held off Asuka to the end. I think you knew that Asuka was going to win. We all knew from the beginning. Everyone said Asuka's going to win. Asuka's got to win. She's the only WrestleMania match out of that group, right?
Yep.
So her coming in last, I think, really kind of made the beginning look slow, and it really did need her a little bit more than what she was available for. And then, yeah, you fly to the end. We all knew that Carmella was going to be the last one as well, to be eliminated. And it would have to be quick because Carmella does not, she's just not on the same level as Asuka. So I'm fine with it. I wanted better. I thought they could have featured Raquel a little bit better. I know that they made her a beast in the middle, so she did have some very good moments for her in the match.
And I think
so I think
both Asuka and Carmella to pin her kind of helped protect her, as they say, make her look like she's a little more. So, I totally get that. Raquel would have been like my the one that I would have liked to have seen because I think she could be on that level. But as far as, building if it was any other pay-per-view, I could have seen Raquel going over, or even, Carmella. But with the Mania, the money match, like, you're trying to put the best of the best. I mean, it's Asuka. That Asuka versus Bianca is the marquee match on the Raw women's side right now. Anything else you want to add for the this first match?
No, just really excited for Asuka Bianca. I mean, that's going to be an excellent match, I'm sure.
I'm with you there. I'm very much looking forward to the Empress versus the EST. Mm-hmm. Before we get into the next match, let me just remind you guys, you can follow Wrestling with Fans on all social media accounts. Facebook.com/Wrestling with Fans. Hawk smash that like button to keep up to date with everything going on here at the podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. If you're watching the video version of this, just click that subscribe button. If you're listening to the audio version, the link is down in this description below. Just go to youtube.com/Wrestling with Fans. Or you can always go in the YouTube app and just search Wrestling with Fans podcast. We are on Instagram and TikTok at Wrestling with Fans. The website is wrestlingwithfans.com. New audio shows drop every single Monday at midnight, with the video version to follow very soon thereafter. You can get us on all your podcast platforms, Apple, Google, Spotify, all that good stuff. Just subscribe to the show. And if you want to leave some feedback, comments, questions, suggestions, anything like that, you can DM via social media or shoot us an email, wwfshow@gmail.com. Match number 2 on the card, Rick. We get the big beefy boys slapping meat, Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley. The match goes 4 minutes and 45 seconds. Lashley picking up the win via disqualification after Brock gave a mule kick to the dick. I know you weren't a fan of this in real time. I was kind of a little different opinion. So what were your thoughts with the little short match here with Lashley and Lesnar?
Mm-hmm. I wrote them all out here. I'll just read them for you here. It was, let's see, dumb, finish spam, dumb, idiots, ball kick. Bobby wins.
And that's pretty much it. I mean, this is the same match we've seen the last 2 times these guys have wrestled. It's basically like you're playing WWE 2K. Unlimited Finishers is on, and it's just spear, F5, spear, F5. And then, Lashley had Lesnar in the hurt lock, or he was going for the hurt lock. Brock hit the mule kick. And it didn't dawn on me till this morning. We had talked about what Bray Wyatt had said. The winner of that match should run. Well, Lesnar is probably the smartest man in WWE by losing to Bobby Lashley. Now he does not have to go against Bray Wyatt. Now it looks like it's going to be Bray Wyatt and Bobby Lashley, if you believe what Bray Wyatt has to say. So kudos to Brock for getting out of another pointless feud with Bray Wyatt.
His career can't take much more of that.
Speaking of Brock Lesnar, before we go on, is there anything else you want to put about this one? I know you weren't happy. You had just had a couple quick notes there.
Yeah, just a comment for Brock. I mean, he's got to win. He's got to win something eventually, right? I mean, we're getting to the point now where Brock's been basically just around. You need to set him up for a nice, heavy opponent that he can beat up and look really good and do a good 10, 15-minute match with a guy that they're slamming through stuff. It's what you want with Bobby Lashley at this point. Mm-hmm. You really should get it eventually. But they're really starting to make it look like Brock either can't wrestle anymore or they're not going to let him anymore. Bobby, I mean, at this point, Brock's kind of a wasted opponent for Bobby, right? I mean, Bobby should be going up against somebody that tests him in the ring because he's much better than that. So I don't like it. I think everybody loses. Brock has to get a win sometime.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering what they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to go for another match at Mania with these two, but we can talk about that stuff, later on in the show. But, the prospects of a Lashley and Bray Wyatt thing does not appeal to me whatsoever. But like you said, Brock, he dominated for so long. Even when he was even more part-time than Roman was, he just dominated for so long. And now they've kind of used him to help get some other guys over or for their storylines. And that's not really what Brock's there for. I mean, KO calls himself the prize fighter, but Brock Lesnar is the prize fighter. He is the big money fighter. and you just need to line up heels or baby faces. However, you have Brock on right now. He's a baby face. Line up these big monster heels, and if you don't have anything else for him, then just have him just destroy these guys and make it entertaining. Have him do like 20 suplexes. Like that's what people want to see. They want to see Brock go ballistic on people. That's what he's there for. He's there for the spectacle now, which I'm all for. I'm all for it because when it comes down to it, Brock can perform. He's an underrated seller. I've been saying that for years on the show. He is very underrated in the ring, and people just want to see one thing from him. But I mean, if they don't have anything compelling storyline wise or matchup wise, just have him go out there and destroy people.
Yeah. And Heyman's not the answer. I don't think Heyman's the answer. He doesn't need Heyman. That's not the difference here. The difference really is get him a job. Get that poor man a job. Like he needs something to do. You need to get him something to do and stop giving him these refeuds and just give him something to do.
Well, let's hope on Monday night Raw. So if you're listening later in the week, you probably already know what happens, but hopefully they'll set something up for Brock for Mania because it is coming in about 6 weeks. So there's plenty of time to build something for a lot of these matches. But yeah, definitely, it's WrestleMania season. Brock needs something big to do. He needs a good opponent, whether it's to have a great match and put them over or someone to just go out there and suplex around for 5-6 minutes.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm good either way.
Yeah, LA Knight would have been a good fit there if he didn't just get smashed by Bray Wyatt in the last pay-per-view needlessly. So that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, because, I mean, that's the thing now with Bray is, you do a feud with Bray and you come out looking a lot worse. The feud with LA Knight, I don't want to go on too much of a tangent here, but the feud with LA Knight elevated him up to that level. But now that it's over and Bray won, now what do you do with him? He's already been proven that he lost to Bray, so I don't get it. I like Bray Wyatt, but when it comes to storytelling, I'm kind of over the spooky shit. Like I'm just kind of over it. Like I miss the Wyatt family Bray Wyatt, the Waylon Mercy Bray Wyatt. Like I don't like this new one. But we'll talk more about Bray in a little bit. Let's move on to the next match. But before we do, just want to do a quick little channel update here. As you guys know, every Friday here on the channel is Fig Friday. Every Friday, I drop a new video, wrestling figure related. It's been some unboxing, some accessory play sets. Well, coming soon to the channel, speaking of Brock Lesnar, we have the Ultimate Edition Brock Lesnar. Just picked it up this weekend at local Target. I got a Fig Hunt video I'm working on as well, but we're going to be unboxing this Ultimate Edition Brock Lesnar coming to the channel very soon to a Fig Friday near you. So if you have not seen this Brock Lesnar Ultimate, make sure you subscribe to check that video out when we get to it. But moving on, the next match on the card, Rick, we have the mixed tag team match. It is Edge and Beth Phoenix taking on the Judgment Day, Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley, who are accompanied by Dominic Mysterio. The match goes 13 minutes and 50 seconds. Edge and Beth picking up the win. I was wrong. I will admit up front, I was like, they're not going to have Rhea Ripley lose. She is on the road to a big money match with Charlotte at WrestleMania. But she was not factored into the pinfall at all. Edge picking up the pin over Finn Balor. What did you think of this mixed tag match?
I thought it was fine. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed a lot of how they mixed up. I enjoyed the Dom stuff. They kind of got him involved in a fun way. I like how they could turn back and forth and everybody got their stuff in. Edge pinning Finn, I think felt right. You definitely don't want Rhea to take a pin right now. And yeah, I mean, we're getting her ready for WrestleMania, so that's a big deal. So now you can kind of separate that storyline. Now it's back to Edge and Finn, and you can pull Rhea out of that. So you can separate her for WrestleMania. I think that's a good way of doing it. So now if you continue it, it's just Edge and Finn at this point. So that could be the WrestleMania match. It could be the two of them, and that could be it.
Yeah, I'm hoping this feud is over. I'm hoping that we can finally move on, but sadly, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think we're still going to get more Judgment Day versus Edge and Beth. But and I'll get into my predictions for like leading into WrestleMania later. Well, I guess it may be more post WrestleMania, but the finish came when Edge and Beth hit the Shatter Machine, which is the finisher of good friends of the Rated R superstar FTR, which is now known. They're moving over in AEW as Big Rig. They hit the Shatter Machine. They called it the Shatter Machine. So any of you FTR fans out there, you know, there's a nice nod to some close friends of Edge. I guess I can go ahead and put this out here because this doesn't really factor into WrestleMania. But I have a feeling once the Charlotte Rhea stuff at Mania is over, we're going to pick back up with this feud. And I can honestly see the Revival making a return to WWE to evening up the numbers. So you'd have a 4-on-4, 3 men, 1 woman on each side. And I think whatever the next show is after WrestleMania, which I don't even know what that is. I'll look that up real quick. But I could easily see, you know, the Revival coming back. They've kind of teased it a little bit here and there. But we'll talk about that part later on. But I thought the match was great. Beth and Rhea did some really good back and forth stuff with each other. That's a singles match I'd love to run back, you know, a couple of months from now. You know, if Rhea wins the SmackDown Women's Championship from Charlotte, you know, have maybe Beth Phoenix be her first challenger. Two very strong, you know, not small, petite, but, you know, they're not very large, but they're both very big, strong women. And I'd love to see them run that back one-on-one, you know, for the SmackDown Women's title down the line. I think that would just be so cool to watch. Anything, any other thoughts you want to add on this one there, Rick?
So we got to be done, right? I don't know how much longer we can do this. They've got to move on to something else. I like that Rhea now is getting separated. That kind of pulls her out of this thing. We're going to WrestleMania. We're going to Charlotte. We, you know, want to bigger, better things. Yeah, Beth can come back later by herself and maybe do something with that. I would really like if the men from Judgment Day kind of, if they're going to do anything at this point, it's got to be a breakup angle, not Edge. I would, because at some point they got to separate, right? You got to do something for Damian Priest. I mean, he's been here as a henchman. Maybe give him a title. Maybe put him into a title race a little bit. But yeah, it's got to be the end of Judgment Day. You would hope. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I wouldn't like seeing their next thing to be maybe the three of them versus Brock Lesnar. Maybe that would be a lot of fun at WrestleMania. Watching Brock Lesnar throw around Judgment Day for a while. You could make it a longer match that way, and you don't work Brock too much. That could be fun. I mean,
Brock and Finn had that awesome match at was it Beast in the East, that Japanese show they did for the network several years ago. I mean, I'd be down for it. Really anything. Like I said, I'm kind of over Judgment Day. I didn't really like the concept from the beginning. But the only good thing about Judgment Day is basically Dominic and Rhea. I mean, that's the money, and you know that's what's drawing eyes on it is Dom and Rhea. And if she's going to be off doing stuff with Charlotte, where do you leave the other guys going into Mania? I mean, that's
maybe Dom goes with her. Maybe that's it for Dom.
Could be. You could do a tag match with Finn and Damian versus Edge in another part. I'm just kind of over the Judgment Day and Edge thing. Like, yeah, we get it, Edge. You created it. They kicked you out, and you just want revenge. But, you know, you beat them. Now what? So I guess we'll see how things play out. We can talk about our predictions coming up. The penultimate match of the card was for the United States Championship. It is a men's elimination chamber match. Austin Theory, your United States champion, defending the WWE United States Championship against Bronson Reed, Damian Priest, Johnny Gargano, Montez Ford, Seth freaking Rollins. The match goes 31 and a half minutes. We start off with arguably the best combination they could come up with Seth Rollins and Johnny Gargano starting off the match. Rick, what do you think about this first section here with Johnny and Seth?
It's awesome. I wanted it. I wanted it again. I want it again now. I want to see the match.
Yeah, and this match to me, just even just the participants on it, you can tell this has Triple H's hands all over it because Johnny Gargano was one of his guys in NXT. Damian Priest was one of his guys in NXT. Bronson Reed was one of his guys in NXT, and of course he had hands in Montez Ford. Seth was a little before Triple H's time, and Theory was also one of Triple H's guys. So this is like Triple H's NXT call up wet dream with Seth freaking Rollins in it, and I was so happy with this match. It was so good, so many awesome spots, but just those first few minutes with Johnny Gargano and Seth Rollins, I would love to see them run that back, like run it back on Raw this week or next week, whatever. I don't care. I want to see that again. I think I even said this last night while we were watching, like give them 45 minutes and let them do whatever they wanted. I'd pay money to see that. That was such a good opening segment. Then entering third is the United States champion Austin Theory. Fourth was Damian Priest. Fifth, Bronson Reed. And sixth, last but not least, Montez Ford. Now we can go back. So after we get Austin Theory in, him and Seth kind of go at it a little bit in this middle section of the match before Damian Priest comes in to kind of even the odds. Two faces, two heels. Where are you out on this match now? About halfway into it.
I'm thinking Seth is the clear winner, and I'm starting to wonder if that's their new future is Seth and Logan for the title. And it just sounds like a great WrestleMania match to me, is the two of them fighting for the title. I think a couple of other matches came out of this that would be really good. I think Gargano could wrestle any of them. He was excellent. It was a lot of fun. There was a lot of people mixing it up in the right way. So I really, really enjoyed the middle part. But yeah, I thought at that point I was convinced Seth's winning this. It's going to be a title match against Logan at WrestleMania.
And see, and I was kind of with you there for a sec, but for me, and I told you this last time, I was like, that match doesn't need a title. I mean, because what do you do? Have Logan Paul win the United States Championship, and he only wrestles 3 or 4 times a year, just comes in for like big pay-per-views and whatnot. I mean, we don't really need another part-time champion with Roman having both world titles. You kind of need the U.S. and Intercontinental Championship, respectively, on both brands to kind of carry the load. But I would love to see it. I'm excited. I guess we kind of move to that here in just a minute with Logan Paul, who gets involved here at the end. First out, though, unfortunately, was Bronson Reed, pinned by Montez Ford at the 18-minute mark. Johnny Wrestling goes out second at 23:05, being pinned by Damian Priest. Priestess gets pinned by Montez Ford at 25 minutes. So already you have a great showing by all the up-and-coming guys. You have, Johnny Gargano getting to shine with Seth early. You have Bronson Reed coming in as a fist of fire, coming in, the big monster heel coming in, wrecking shit. And of the first 3 eliminations, Montez Ford has 2 of them. So I'm really wondering if this was kind of an opportunity to showcase Montez Ford to maybe see where he stands as far as a single star. I mean, anybody that's watched the Street Profits for a while knows that Montez is the standout star. Now, Dawkins in his qualifying match with Damian Priest was excellent. I see star potential in him as well, but Montez is clearly the Shawn Michaels of this, team. And he was given plenty of opportunity to shine, including that crazy spot where he hung upside down to the Spider-Man from the top of the chamber, landing on everybody. I mean, it's absolutely insane.
Cool. Yeah.
And we get moving on. We have Montez then gets eliminated by Theory via pinfall at 27:45. And then since you already brought up Logan Paul, he gets involved, costing Seth Rollins the opportunity to win. Austin Theory picking up the win at 31:30. What did you think of Logan Paul's involvement here at the end of the men's chamber match?
I thought it was fine. I think we're getting into a pattern that we need to kind of get away from is to keep using title matches to get people over by like going, oh, they were so close to winning, but now this coward heel wins again. Like we just keep seeing that a lot where somebody has to get involved that helps the heel champion retain again. Now I know it's a wrestling trope. I know we've been doing it for, forever. But you have to have some heels that can win matches on their own. And I think you do have that with Roman, but I think there's so much that happens with Roman too that gets mixed into his matches. So you keep looking at guys, then you're like, well, at least we've got Austin Theory. And it's like, well, nope, each one of his matches are going to try to look the same, and it gets, it kind of takes it away from, like you said, you need the U.S. title right now. You need the titles on the show if you're going to keep giving them to, keep them unified on the brands. You need something, and if you're just going to keep having coward title holders accidentally lose a match, I mean or accidentally win because of somebody else, you got to move on to something else.
And I'm hoping. We'll talk about this. I mean, the rumor and innuendo is Austin Theory versus John Cena. John Cena was in fact in attendance last night, but you just couldn't see him. But I mean that would be something. I mean, these guys have teased it on social media. And they've kind of taken, Austin's kind of taken pot shots at Cena and like backhanded ways and promos and stuff. So that seems to be the money match. And we can talk about this when we get to some WrestleMania predictions here in a little bit. But just did WWE pull the trigger and put the U.S. title on Cena when he's literally not even part-time? I mean, he wrestled on the last possible day of the year to get a match in for 2022. Are they really going to have, Cena walk out of WrestleMania with the U.S. title and go back to full-time for a little run? Like, I can't see that happening.
Well, they need something to do. They just put Peacemaker on the shelf for a couple of months, right? Because of for the scheduling issues. So maybe his schedule's opened up for a few months. Maybe he's free to run with the title for a little while.
I guess time will tell, and we'll talk about that later. Like I said, you're getting a 2-for-1 podcast here. We're doing Elimination Chamber review, and then right after that, we're going to jump into some WrestleMania predictions for the next 5 weeks, where the WrestleMania card stands, and of course, we'll talk about that more here on Wrestling with Fans over the next month and a half, as we are only 41 days from WrestleMania 39. I am super excited. Rick, let's get to the main event. Let's talk about the main event. Roman Reigns, your tribal chief, your head of the table. Acknowledge him. The undisputed WWE Universal Champion with Paul Heyman defending the belt against Sami Zayn in Sami's hometown of Montreal, Quebec, Canada. This match goes 32 minutes and 20 seconds, just a little bit longer than the men's chamber match. And I tell you what, this match to me was everything it needed to be. It had a slow build. The crowd was in. This is probably the most liveliest crowd since probably Money in the Bank 2010 with Cena and Punk. This reminded me of the build to WrestleMania 30 with Daniel Bryan, where the crowd took over. Basically, is forcing WWE's hand to put these people in these positions. Now, whether or not that translates to WrestleMania, we'll have to wait and see. But just the build, and then the match started slow. I mean, Roman still took a 5-minute entrance, even though that entrance aisle is about a tenth of what it was for the Rumble. The long entrance, the slow build, and to me, this match did everything that I wanted it to do. Overall, what did you think of Sami and Roman here? We'll get into specifics as we go.
Okay, well, let's start with the entrance, right? Like you mentioned, the best part was the man, it felt like forever. In between Roman was finished, he's standing in there, and they stall. And that's when I looked at you and said, this is Sami's entrance now. It's already started, right? I mean, everybody was just ready, and it was fire, man. I love the way it comes out. I love how Sami comes out. He seemed a little nervous, but ready, So I mean, the way that they set it up, I think, was great. I like that they barely kept it under 5 minutes when they could have made Roman's so much longer, in their kind of way that they like to do that. But Yeah, overall, I liked it. I liked the way it started, and as you said, it had everything. It absolutely did. Love Sami Zayn. Love the way that they got the moves in and everything. And then, yeah, of course, it was very weird for me to not see anybody come out to the ring with them. I think this match was set to be that way. I think they've already done that way. I know
Mm.
they're trying to tease what's going on with Jay, so they were like, we got to keep everybody out of it. But I mean, to not have anyone ringside when that's the whole point of the tribal chief, to not have a tribe, and Sammy just back with Kevin, and then Kevin's back with they're doing this story where they're teasing them together again for him. He's coming, but he's not there. It's just interesting to not see any of them there, and then
Yeah, they saved all the shenanigans for the end.
mhm,
One thing I did forget to mention is Sammy has his old theme back, which the crowd screamed. Like they sang
mhm,
it for a long time. There was lots of the ole 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 chants, lots of fuck you Roman chants.
mhm,
The Montreal crowd was hot. They were wanting Sami Zayn to win this match. They were behind. This is probably the most hometown homer crowd I have ever seen in WWE, and it was just amazing. And and the thing I liked about this match too, especially early on, there were rest holds, they were headlocks. Grab, as they used to say, grab a body part,
mhm.
and just work it. Like they were so smart with setting this match up. And I'm sure in the next couple of days we'll find out who the producers were on these matches. They were so smart to kind of get a slow build. Like you didn't want to have Sammy come out fist of fire and have Roman keep cutting him off. You didn't want to have Roman come out and just start dominating and then Sammy trying to fight from underneath. It was fairly back and forth. Roman would have a few minutes to shine. Sammy would do the comeback and get his shine, only for Roman to hit the cutoff. They grab a headlock or two. It was a nice slow build. I mean, you have a 32-minute match here. You don't want to go fist of fury, you know, off the jump. They were nice. They were allowing it to build. And then again, you'd have stretches where Roman was in charge, and you have stretches where Sammy would, hit the comeback. Um, no, the where he countered the Superman punch into the exploder suplex into the turnbuckles a couple of times, which is awesome. Roman was countering the hell of the Haluta kick with Superman punches and spears. Like it was probably the most evenly matched I have seen from a Roman Reigns match in a long time. And I think that was very smart because you allowed not only the Montreal crowd, but us fans watching at home to buy in and believe maybe it might only be the 1% chance, but Sammy's got a chance. And I think the way, like I said, I don't know who the producer was. We'll find out. I'm sure over the coming days as that kind of stuff leaks to the internet. That they were so smart in allowing you to believe Sammy actually had a chance to win. And we had talked about this after the Rumble review. It's the money match is Cody. It's Cody and Roman. That has to be it because that's what everybody wants to see. And they had to be very careful in the build to the Sammy match because you didn't want him to totally overshadow Cody and turn the crowd against Cody. But with all the promos leading up, they did everything they needed to do to make them both on an even playing field with their chances at Roman, with Cody even putting Sammy over. And then throughout this match, they did the same thing again where they just kind of allowed you to buy him. I mean, Sammy's got a chance here. Like, could they pull this trigger? Could we see Sammy and Cody at Mania? Like, I don't know. I'm going to stop, Bram. I'm going to let you jump back in here. But to me, it was just brilliantly booked, about as good a match you could have booked given the circumstances as they possibly could have.
Yeah. And I think you set that up a lot easier if you wrestled for one of the two belts. Um, that makes it feel like absolutely Sammy can take one of those belts, right? Absolutely Sammy can go and do something at WrestleMania that's not, or could fight Roman Reigns again for let Roman get that belt back, right? Since he's got another one on there, maybe he gets it, maybe he doesn't. But there's a lot of things you can do at that point because the one thing that for a fact is they're not screwing up Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You see Sammy coming back and you go, that's great. But Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns, it's like, wow, he really did catch him there. Look at Roman's on the ropes. He could take him down. Jay could help him. This could get crazy. And you're like, I can't imagine what could possibly happen. Now, Kevin Owens could come in. This could get crazy. Sammy could actually win this. And then you go, no, it's Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. That's what it is. Because you can't take the titles. Maybe not even put the titles on the line would have been even better for the match. Don't even put the titles on. Make it a grudge match. Make it
Mhm.
anything that's not going to end up being for to put Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns on the line. Like, that's the one thing you could not have put online, and you did it.
Yeah, they were smart. Like I said, they saved all the gagas, they like to call it, for the end. We get a ref bump, and then we get Jimmy Uso coming in. He attacked Sami Zayn, dragged Roman over on top. A new official comes out. Sami kicks out. And then Roman and Sami start going back at it again. Zayn took out Jimmy from the apron. And then we get another spear for a near fall. And then we get another referee bump. And then here's where things, to me, get really good. Now, we saw Jimmy, and then we finally see Jay. There was no Solo Sikoa the entire time, which is really surprising. But we get Jay Uso come out. And when Jay comes out, what's on your mind about what's about to happen? Is he going to side with Roman? Is he going to side with Sami? And to me, that was a really big turning point in this match. Like, what is Jay going to do? And before we find out, Sami goes to spear Roman. Roman moves, and Sami spears Jay.
Mm-hmm.
And so we still don't know where Jay stands, which I think, again, it allows this story to keep building.
Yeah, I think it's what they did was with Jay was I had it all set in my mind, right? Either Jay's going to come out and side with Roman, and then we know what the next couple of months are going to be again, or he's going to come out and side with Sami, and we're going to have a really good storyline for the next couple of months. And then that didn't happen, right? So you don't end up they end up mixing it up. They muddled it even more in a really good way. And then you're like, well, I mean, now it completely changes everything about what I think is going to happen for WrestleMania. So they've completely changed everything from what I was planning for.
Yeah, it's still going to be interesting, but after this, Roman gets his hands on the chair again and just viciously just beats the hell out of Sami Zayn before hitting another spear. And then the original referee miraculously regains consciousness just in time to count the three count. Again, Roman Reigns winning at 32 minutes and 20 seconds. But we are not done because, of course, they're going to continue this story. And they're going to add another layer to this story. After the match, Jay is still down, but Reigns and Jimmy Uso start attacking Sami Zayn until Kevin Owens appears, attacks Jimmy. Then Owens goes after Reigns, hits stunners on both of them, hits a pop-up powerbomb on Jimmy through the announcer's table. He gets the chair. Heyman attacks Owens. And then Owens gets a stunner on Heyman, which I thought was crazy. I never thought I'd see that. And then Sami gets back up. And then Owens basically just kind of steps aside and allows Sami to kind of get his heat back, as they say. And he hits a haluva kick on Reigns. And then the two of them just stare down. They don't embrace. They don't hug. They don't high five. KO just kind of walks off. And then Sami's there to kind of not celebrate, but kind of gets the crowd to tell them how much he loves them. What do you think about the end of the match there, and then the post match beatdown?
Very good, very good. So you don't let Kevin Owens and Sami kind of tip the hand yet, right? Because we all expect it for WrestleMania. You expect it's going to be the two of them doing something together, but they kind of still leave it open for them to have singles matches. You still kind of keep it open for them to do different things. If they embraced, I mean, there's no way that they're not walking hand in hand down to a match at WrestleMania. The fact that they didn't is kind of them holding something back to where WrestleMania doesn't have to be Sami and KO. It doesn't have to be the two of them going after anything in particular. It absolutely can be Sami still has a match against, Jey Uso. It could be that way, and Kevin Owens could do something else. It doesn't have to be. It could be anything now. But yeah, if they embrace at the end of that match, you pretty much have already booked what's going to happen for WrestleMania.
And I think it's smart because, like I said, there's still 5 or 6 weeks, whatever it is, until WrestleMania. Actually, let me count that off. We'll do that live over recordings. We got 1, 2,
You said 41
3,
days, right?
4, 5, 6 weeks. 6 weeks of WrestleMania. So you don't want to give everybody what they want because, it's looking like, KO and Sami are probably going to reunite. It's looking like they will probably face the Usos for the tag titles at WrestleMania, or at least one of the tag titles, if not both, at WrestleMania. But you've got 6 weeks to tell that story. And this whole bloodline and Sami thing is far from over. I still don't think Roman and Sami is far from over. I think this could even pick up post WrestleMania against Roman without the titles. I could even see them pulling like an AEW with like MJF, where if you want to get a hold of MJF, you got to go through all of his lackeys over like 4 months' time before you finally get the shot at him. I could see something like that going down, even. But I think allowing the fans to, because again, we still don't know where Jay stands. Him and Sami had interactions on SmackDown. They had a little fist bump. Jay was the most heartbroken by the thing with Sami. And so we still don't know where he lies. So they could still tell that story over a couple of weeks. Now, KO came out to kind of protect Sami and help him out, even though, again, they didn't interact directly. You have that story to tell. So, there's so many layers to this story. And they've been telling this story for the last year. And to me, this is arguably the best wrestling storyline since the formation of the NWO. Mm-hmm. It is just so good with how they have been able to continuously move the story forward and not let it get stagnant. And the people are just buying in more and more and more to this story. And now it's going to shift because Roman now has to switch to, he's got to change lanes to Cody. But then you still have the Usos, you've got Sami, you've got KO, you still have Solo Sikoa involved. You can add another layer with that. So many layers. I am so looking forward to the next 6 weeks for the build of Mania to see what they do with Sami and KO and the Usos in this. Roman, like I said, Roman's going to kind of branch off a little bit. It'll just be him and Cody. I imagine Roman will have Solo at his side most of the time. It'll basically be the Usos and then Sami and KO in their own little separate story. And you have the Sami and Jay dynamic. It's so good. Like, I can't speak any higher praises of this story over the last year. But anything else you want to add about this match?
This whole bloodline story, for years, it's almost as much about Jay as it is Roman. You almost want to call it a Jay storyline, right? Since the beginning, that was the first thing, was Jay versus Roman, right? And then Jay gets pulled in. Jay's part of the bloodline now. Jay's following through the years. Now he's a follower. Now Sami comes in. It's Jay versus Sami in fighting, right? And then they come out. Jay finally is on board, and then Sami flips, right? So now Sami is against Roman, and Jay's torn between that. It's pretty much the most interesting thing of this entire storyline since the beginning is Jay, right?
Yeah.
So it really could be the Jay isn't feeling very UC storyline, through the last couple of years. It's just he's not feeling what's going on within the group since the beginning. And that's kind of neat that it's coming out the way that it is. Kind of to the point where eventually it's just going to explode for Roman Reigns in some dynamic.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's all going to fall apart for him probably sooner than later. But yeah, like you said, Jay was the original one to acknowledge Roman. He refused to do it until Roman beat it out of him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been just as much of this story as Roman. And then, Sami over the last, 6, 7, 8 months has kind of just taken over. But again, it's still coming down, like you said, at the end of the day, to Jay. What's Jay going to do?
Mm-hmm.
He, presumably he came out there to help Sami. Like, we don't know. And I think, again, they were very smart in not allowing Jay to get involved. Like, he was taken out by accident via, by Sami with the mistimed spear. So there's still so much that they can tell with this. And I'm just, like I said, I'm really looking forward to, this is the most excited I've been for a WrestleMania build in a while, just because there's so many dynamic stories. And that's just scratching the surface with just the top couple feuds.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to talk about that here in just a few minutes as we move on. But Rick, overall as a whole, what grade would you give the 2023 Elimination Chamber Premium Live event?
God, I just had so much fun. I think it was put together right. I think they did the matches in the right order. Everything played out very fun. I would give this an A- if it weren't for how predictable the final match ended up being. because you just know there's a couple of little things they put in there to where you're going to question it, but you already knew Sami Zayn wasn't going to win. You knew that he was going to give Roman a fight. It was going to be great. It's in his hometown. It's going to be wonderful. So I give it a B plus, just because of how predictable the ending is.
And see, for me, I was at one point I was thinking A plus. I thought it was great, but I think the Bobby and Brock stuff was by far the low point. The quickness of the finish of the women's match, which was a really good chamber match. I just didn't like how they just kind of went rapid succession eliminations. The mixed tag was fun across the board. The men's chamber match was one of the best chamber matches I've ever seen. And then the match itself wasn't anything to write home about, but the storytelling of the main event to me was amazing. I am going with the solid A minus. This is one of the best pay-per-view / premium live events I think WWE has given us over the last couple of years. I thought it was just great from start to finish. You know, they did as best as what they could with Lashley and Lesnar. So, but yeah, to me, it's a solid A minus. So I think we're both in agreement. It's up there as some really good storytelling with WWE.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get into some prediction stuff for WrestleMania, let me just remind you guys that once again, if you can follow Wrestling with Fans across social media over at facebook.com/Wrestling with Fans. Hulk smash that like button. That is the catch-all for everything Wrestling with Fans. And of course, if you're listening to the audio show, make sure you head over to YouTube. And for you YouTube viewers, thank you for viewing on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel at youtube.com/Wrestling with Fans. Or if you use the YouTube app on your smartphone or tablet, just search Wrestling with Fans podcast. Have a super click party all over that subscribe button. And then you can turn on the little bell icon to get notifications anytime a new video goes live. You can check us out on the web at WrestlingWithFans.com. New audio shows drop every single Monday at midnight, with the video version dropping to YouTube just a few hours later. You can take us on the go, get us on your favorite podcast listening device, get us wherever you get your podcast fix. Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all that stuff. Also, we are on Instagram and TikTok at Wrestling with Fans. Wrestling with Fans, WWF show at gmail.com is the email, topics, questions, anything like that. And since I haven't really shown it off yet, you can get this classic Wrestling with Fans design, the logo that I have over my head here, the Married with Children inspired logo. You can pick that up. Links to the merch shop to get t-shirts, hats, and all that stuff with some Wrestling with Fans branded merch. It's going to be down in the audio description or the video description down below. All right, guys, that's going to do it for the first part of episode 226. Again, make sure you stay tuned here to the channel. When part 2 drops, we're going to be predicting some WrestleMania 39 stuff. It's a lot of fun. I hope you really enjoy it. Again, if you want to listen to the audio version, which is the complete entire episode, check the link in the description below. Till then, we'll see you next time. Thank you all for watching. Once again, my name is Kyle. I'll see you next time right here on Wrestling. He's not interested. With Fans.